Session. Nate, you give the invocation.
Father God, we thank you for this day you've given us, and we thank you for the body of people we get to serve and get to serve with. We ask you to help us make our decisions based on our city and help us do the best we can. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, I'm gonna go over the actual agenda for tonight. We have no old business, new business for resolutions. The errors, administrative errors we'll talk about. Number one we'll talk about in the work session. We're gonna move 2 and 3 off the original work session. The Santa Magic agreement also is on the work session. If the discussions, we agree the same way, we've got 2 options to go with on the Santa Magic and Street Sounds. And then the add item would be releasing the fund from the ad valorem account for the school system, which it's their money. So there's nothing, you know, they presented a letter that's in your packet, and it's their money to do projects and lists with the projects they have. And then we have training for the fire department. I'm guessing that's on there because it's next year's funds.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so into the work session, that discussion I mentioned, Alex, the correcting the administrative errors, that was wrong names and wrong signatures, is that correct?
No, sir, it was the dates.
The dates.
And in the packet is the highlighted errors, on the bottom section mainly, of what the errors were.
And then it had Patricia Carden and Kim signed it, so that just
Yes, sir, that's correct.
names and dates are being fixed in that, nothing, none of the meat of the resolution is changing.
That's correct. We didn't change any of the wording other than those
Okay.
errors. And the new proposed one is in the packet as well.
Right, okay.
I'm sorry, Alex. Please. I was gonna ask if you have extra for when, that's why I said your name, but it's okay.
And does this include
Watering?
all of the watering of the trees that were added?
That's what I was gonna ask.
This has the, you know, we did the option 1 and 2 to include the baskets that they were watering. So does this include trees as well? Because allegedly when we talked to EDT, that wasn't being done.
I was gonna research that, the contract in depth before I answer that question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So wouldn't the price change, wouldn't the price be different?
If we add this other, but apparently it was on there to do and they didn't do it. It's from what I gathered with EDT meeting. But so if that's the case, then it doesn't change.
It was added, they just didn't do it.
But we
But it
added
doesn't-
the watering the tall stuff. We didn't talk about the trees on the ground.
I do have a question. Some of the planters, have some dying.
Yeah, they're dead,
Yeah.
I seen one across the street too, so how are we replacing
Yeah,
them?
what are we doing about?
We have replaced a few. Is Mike in here? Is that you? No, that's not Mike.
He's
But
right there.
Reed, the trees that are dying, we did replace some downtown, correct? Are we still on the hook for those that are dead or more to die? Can we replace them under the contract?
That's what she said last, when she said they're back after vacation, they're done mid-August.
So that was part of the EDT meeting. They're gonna replace those that are dead.
No,
But
the
she's
ones
talking
with
about the ones in the
hanging
baskets.
baskets.
Yeah, the hanging
The hanging
baskets,
baskets
they're
that we
the-
paid for.
That we're paying to be watered, there's multiple ones.
I
that
think
are
some
dying.
people went on vacation, from what I've gathered on Sims Cut, and Reed contacted them last week, and there was some watering that might not have gotten done like it was supposed to because it rained so much, but then they got hot really quick, and it just
So would they be responsible for replacing those baskets? They should be.
Right, because we're paying for
To
their
water them, they didn't get
services,
water
yeah.
and they died. So we need to talk with Sims Cut
Yes,
to
sir.
see about replacing
Yeah.
replacing those baskets
Probably should get a
downtown.
count on them.
Yeah. That's your area.
I'll take care of it.
Get some account of baskets.
Alright.
That good, Alex?
Yes, sir. And I'll let you know once I review the contract.
Okay. Update on appointment of board of education. This is just Wynn informing us of kind of his talk with the state. We're not going into depth further
Talk
than
with the state, if you can't hear me, I'll just take this down for a second or two. With, and Brad Proctor, who represents our local board of education, we're basically at a dead end. I mean, the statute says that we, as a city council, appoint a board of education member. We have a 2-2 tie, I'm sure, still. And the superintendent has said, and their lawyer has said, and the attorney for the Board of Education, for the association that all the Board of Educations are in, says there's no relief from the superintendent has no authority, and they're right. There's no authority.
The only difference would be if it was a county school, that's
Correct.
when
County-
the state would step in.
Counties have something in the law that we don't have, so the tie can be broken by the superintendent, but not in our case, so.
It's as is
That's where
right
we
now.
are.
Okay. Alright, thank you for getting that information and talking to them. Discussion only here, item 3 about the transportation program. I know you guys met, talked about it, Margaret's here, so
Yes, sir.
you're on.
Speaking with Margaret and the rest of the transportation, folks today, it was a great meeting. And some things that we found out was there's a lack of communication, between both entities. However, we are working with our relations with each other now, and it's getting better. What we have determined was when the city passed the funding for $85,000, for the transportation program, we did not give the entire $85,000 to transportation. We gave them 80%, and we moved 20% of that funds to the aging program. They were under the assumption they were getting the full 85,000 for aging, or I'm sorry, for transportation. So that created a deficit there. In addition, the city agreed to fund $64,000 for vehicle repair, maintenance, and fuel. Again, the city's been charging that to SAFE instead of us assuming that cost like we agreed. So if you add those up, they're in the hole approximately $65,000. What we have done today was we found where we could reduce some costs through SAFE, and that's gonna total $14,784. In addition, what we're asking on behalf of SAFE, Margaret and SAFE people, is for $40,000 be approved for the 5311 program, and $25,000 this fiscal year be approved for aging. That would take them out of the red,
And
and that would also cover the deficit of the $64,000 for the fuel repairs
it
and
should have been
maintenance,
assumed by us in the
which we
first
should have
place.
assumed anyway.
So, Miss Alex, with you saying that, and if I'm hearing it right,
Yes, sir.
SAFE is in the red before we even get the fiscal year started.
Correct.
That is correct, sir.
Because we've messed up on our end.
Yeah.
We
Yes, sir.
have billed SAFE for maintenance and repairs, and we should have been taking care of the maintenance and repairs to start with. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So this gets that 64,000 off of them by doing this, and we
Yes, sir.
assume that again in a roundabout way, but we assume that 64,000 again.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So if it's okay, we'd like to put it on the next agenda.
So you're putting that in the budget as a new municipal expense, since it hasn't been recognized that way, which will be in the mayor's budget.
This will be for this fiscal year.
This fiscal year, otherwise they're gonna stay in the red.
But it'll be in the new budget we're looking at, it'll be in the budget in the right place.
Yes, sir. From this day forward, it will be in the right place, once it's approved by the council.
Okay.
So
Sounds
how will
awesome.
maintenance be handled now then?
It's been handled the right way. We've just been re-invoicing it, billing it back to them
Taking
when we
out
should have
that
just
85.
kept it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't part of the original agreement?
So it was billed wrong by us. So that's where now we keep carrying on like we usually do, but instead of billing it back to them, we eat it.
We would just either we would take the 64 for the vehicles and give it to Reed.
So where's the
Or-
money gonna come
not
from?
Reed,
Because
but
if you
Ed.
put it on the next agenda, it still has to come from somewhere.
It's gonna come from the general fund.
But the transportation agreement says simply that the city is responsible for fuel and maintenance. And somehow that got turned into a separate charge.
Correct.
We were taking it from that 85,000
Correct.
that we gave to them.
And I'm not saying what you aren't saying is true or not, but do you have the invoices where we've been billing them back? Can we see them? At least before we, yeah, cause I would like to see them.
And this will be on the next meeting, correct?
But does this mean we owe them $40,000 or $50,000 or $60,000 a year for the last 19 years? Because we've been doing it wrong for that long?
So they're just asking to be reimbursed this year?
This is a
They're
new problem.
not asking to be reimbursed, they're already in the red.
But what I'm saying is, but if we've been doing it wrong, I don't wanna end up in a situation to, okay, we fix it now, and then they come back and say, well, since you fixed it, can we get some retroactive money from all the years that this has been going on? So is it just this year that the mistake was made?
Well, the mistake was probably ongoing, however, with the funds that you received, the federal funds that you received covered those expenses. Your CARES Act money covered everything.
I know it, but I'm saying, so is this the only year that this mistake was happening,
It's the
or,
only time we knew about it.
so you just found the mistake? That's
We just found it,
Through communication.
yes.
So now going forward, I guess what Tiffany's saying is you guys aren't gonna come back and say, well, now we want
No.
retroactive.
Safe just wants to fix it and move
No,
on.
we just
Yeah.
wanna
Fix
be
it and do it
able
the
to
right way moving
continue
forward.
to provide the
Yeah.
services to the
Well, I mean, I
citizens.
still have to ask, I still
Yeah,
wanna know.
sure.
That makes sense, that's a good, I mean,
Yeah, and you're welcome, we have all sorts of invoices and everything to
Okay.
provide, yes.
Is that it?
So you'll get back to us with a final report and recommendation so we can take action to.
On the next meeting. Good. We had an add item for the release of funds for 2.5 million off the ad valorem account that we hold, that is Board of Education's money for physical improvements, building repairs, and safety upgrades. And that's pretty much hitting all schools in some sort of manner. So it's not our money, they're just asking to get their money. And in talks with the league and everything, the reasons are valid and check out, so just give them their money.
Been here, done that.
Yeah.
And they're still maintaining 1 year reserve.
With that 2.5 out, they still have them at, year reserve.
Cause there's a requirement that there be a reserve equivalent to a year of something, a year of the ad valorem tax collection.
The debt service payment.
Yeah, there is, yeah,
The debt service payment.
so there will be enough left to maintain the reserve.
Correct.
What
Yes.
is to be, what's the amount for the year in reserves, I guess is the question.
Right now, the current debt payment is around $189,000 per year. And that money is also not only retained, but then there's also investments that equal just under that amount as well. So really, it's almost 2 years of.
My recollection was that we had to maintain something like $1 million.
I thought so. I thought it was years of operational.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that has went up since then.
Because they haven't withdrawn anything.
There you
so-
go.
But either way, we have it.
Okay.
Alright, that, is all that's on here. I have Brian Taunton here, CDA/Santa Magic. Those items are on the agenda to approve as is, where we pay the contract. There's already a contract for Santa Magic, and then pay for the street sounds, half us, half CDA. However, hold on, I know.
Question when you get through.
However, that got me, Tiffany. There is an option to funnel it through the chamber, and that's, it's a last minute option, so I'm not going to harp on it, and we'll just hash it out right here, that where we could have the contract written with the chamber dealing with Santa Magic versus
That sounds
the
Yeah.
city,
And
and
fun.
we give the
Yeah.
chamber the money.
And this is why, because, and I know I probably sound crazy cause we've done this before through the chamber. Because if the money comes from us and we enter this agreement, if I come in and say I wanna do the same thing, you're gonna have to let me do it too, but if it's done through the chamber and we just allocate the funds through them, it just keeps people from coming and ask us.
Well, I mean, we have the right to tell them no if we don't want the contract
You
for
need to
such and
talk
such
to
It's
your
no
services.
different from any other vendor approaching you, for services, whether it's landscaping or this. I don't mind, but I don't understand the reasoning behind funneling it through, because the CDA is a city appointed, authority.
But the
But
CDA is
the
mandated,
CDA isn't the one that we're entering this agreement with.
No,
We're talking about,
but-
let's stay on, let's
Okay.
keep one subject.
I'm sorry,
Santa
yes.
Magic, as far as that goes, right now, there's no money. There's no money to be paid out. And again, it's just like having a contract with a landscaper, which you have and you do. The provision, the way that's kind of written up there, makes it kind of appear that Santa Magic is gonna receive up to $5,000, and that's not the case. Where that money comes into play is if, after we form our decorating committee, as we said we would do, then we'll come up with, okay, we'd like to do this, or this, and this, or maybe we just wanna start with a new city Christmas tree, whatever that might be.
Let me,
Well, let me finish can I finish my explanation?
yeah, but I know the explanation, but what I wanna ask is,
You don't.
if we're gonna do it, why does it matter if we wanna do it through the chamber? That's what I'm saying, you're still gonna
Well, it
get.
matters because I will have to manage that then.
But I thought you would be excited, you've been here every meeting, you're excited,
Well,
you've
I
been
am excited.
Well, let me
advocating
ask
for
this
it.
question, why is there an issue?
But it doesn't mean I wanna manage it.
Why is there an issue doing business with Sound of Magic when there's not an issue doing business with any other vendor?
It doesn't make sense that the city have an agreement with somebody to do something that is within the scope of what the chamber should be doing, as in parades and fireworks and things like that.
And they're
I
not
don't think
taking the
that's in their
parade,
contract.
and they're not
Well,
taking.
to me, it's entertainment, and I'm not saying we don't want it, but I'm just saying, to me, I just think it should be done through the chamber, and I understand that you don't want it done through the chamber, but you still agree
Well, I
that we
just
should
learned
have it.
about it, Tiffany. I have not had any opportunity to form an opinion on it.
I don't think it's in there, it's not even in your city contract.
It's not to,
And again, we would amend the contract and provide additional funding for that through the chamber.
But either way you go with it, in my eyes, it's not wrong. It's just like if somebody wanted to set up shop and sell something in the middle of town, we approve it and we have a contract with them. So if somebody else says, hey, I wanna come provide a city service similar to that, we just tell them, no, we have Santa Magic in place and we don't need another
It's
Oh,
one,
like
we don't need
Sims
that.
Cut, kinda like if another landscaping
But
company.
that,
Right.
but
To
but
finish.
but it's not,
That's not lawn
but
care,
it's
that's
not-
entertainment.
but it's
That's-
not the same, because we would.
It's
we
not
would
entertainment,
contribute
it's
to this.
it's decorations, it's a city service.
So, and then those people have to get a business license, but we would contribute to this.
I'm fine either way, whatever y'all think we need to do, I think either way would be.
I'm not saying don't
would be
do
fine.
it.
Right,
I
I'd
don't
flow
think
it through
it's
the chamber
fair
or
to
make him a
throw it on
vendor
Laura.
and.
Well, and let me finish my statement again. No money will be spent unless it's pre-approved by you. Once we come up with our budget and we say this is what we wanna do, then you must then approve that purchase. Here's the thing, I love my city. Here's what happens. Sound Magic pays for it. And then by January 24th or whatever it is on that date, you're invoiced and then you pay me.
But
I'm
what
trying to make something good happen.
And we want the good to happen, but what I'm saying is, again, and I probably sound crazy like always,
It's just not making sense.
well, it makes sense to me though. It makes sense to me. If it's done through us, that's just like when some people wanna give money to, different sports. If you do it for one person, you have to do it for everybody. That's what I'm saying. But if it's
I'm a
formal-
vendor.
But you're not a vendor. We don't
I
give
am.
vendors money.
I have an LLC. I'm a company.
But you want us to invest in it or give you money. It's different.
I haven't
if
asked you for any money yet.
Not yet. Did everybody hear the yet?
That's
That's
coming
what
from-
I'm saying.
But if we give him money, that, it would become our property for whatever
That-
decorations.
Exactly. I mean, you're not.
Ideally, one organization should plan all of these activities, there should not be parallel.
it's not an activity, it's a decoration.
Yep, exactly.
Well,
I mean, most of the
I mean,
cities
most
that
cities
the
fund
other
their
cities I do this
decorations.
with, I do
Yeah.
the same thing.
I don't think
And
it's
it's-
fair to spring it on Laura like, hey, here's this, it's in your lap, whether you want it or not. I think that.
We're getting the same thing in the end, going two different ways, so we've got it presented here in the contract with the city and Santa Magic, so I think that's fine, the way it's written.
Well, and I'm only one vote, so it looks like it's gonna go your way, either way.
Well, I'm
So,
sorry. you voted
congratulations.
against it.
I'm not against it. I'm just against the way it's,
The way it's gonna flow.
yes.
It'll work out.
But just make sure we treat everybody the same.
And what about street sounds?
Yes, the Street Sounds is really, we don't have a contract because you're an entity, CDA's an entity, and we already fund the entity. So it would be half, and what's the money again? I forget the cost. 11 and
Yeah.
11, right?
Yeah, 11.
Some change.
9 and something.
So that's where we go with the Street Sounds. It comes in at 11 and some change for us, the city, to give for the Street Sounds to be installed and implemented. Correct.
Correct.
So-
that's
I've got a question, since we've discussed both of them, Miss Alex, do we have the funding for both of these? Now one you're gonna go up to 5,000 on, the other one you're fixing to spend 11,000 and some change.
Correct me if I'm wrong, he just stated though that he would bill us for Santa
Are we
Magic
going
in
to have the,
January.
are we going to have the funding?
It
That's
still
gonna
has to
depend on
be,
the
it
budget.
still has to be a part of the budget.
The budget hasn't been
Yeah.
approved yet for FY '24.
So we'll add that into the budget,
Yeah.
along with the street
Kind
signs.
of a reserve, I guess, to up to the 5,000, we'll have the
And we're
5,000
spending
budget.
money and adding to money that we don't even have yet. Not just your stuff, a lot, everybody's stuff.
But commercial development, being involved in something like this downtown does not make sense to me at all. It's helping commerce, it's a chamber of commerce type thing, it's not commercial development.
And especially since the chamber represents the small businesses in downtown, I just figured it would have been.
Can I
Well,
ask
that's
a
what
question
CDA
though?
does, too.
You know, I've approached you all on a number of occasions about the Main Street organization, but I was told that that had to be funneled through the CDA rather than the chamber because of the functions that they perform. So guess I'm not clear on
Yeah.
exactly what.
In municipalities the size of Sylacauga, there needs to be a sponsor equivalent to a CDA. A Chamber of Commerce is not eligible under state law to sponsor, or under Main Street rules to sponsor Main Street. That's not a city requirement,
They
that's a
are.
Main Street requirement.
They are.
They are.
They have to be funded, that is a Main Street Alabama rule, that they have to be funded a certain percentage by the municipality, or they will not contract with you as a Main Street community.
And there was something in the rules though that CDA, something equivalent to a CDA had to be a sponsor. I don't
It's
know.
sponsored by chambers and other communities.
But not the size of
And Elliott
Sylacauga, there
City
was a specific.
sponsored by.
I've never been told, that the CDA had to sponsor it by the Main Street organization, but I'll be glad to pose that question to them.
Okay.
What year's funds will this come out of?
For street sounds, we could do it either way. We could do it immediate, but obviously if we wait, price would, I would imagine, go up like everything
No,
else.
but it's which year, is it, are we
It's gonna
amending,
be,
are we
it's
amending?
gonna
If we
have
do
to
it
go
now,
in
it'd go-
2024.
You'll have to amend the budget this year, if you bought it out of this year.
So it'd have to
Do
go,
we have to?
But he's
From
not gonna
24.
bill anything for Santa Magic until FY '24.
That'll be.
But it's when the expense is incurred, not when it is billed.
but we're talking about $5,000 they're up to, so that's not a worry. It's the $11,000-$12,000 that you
Well,
gotta
that-
decide when it's gonna come out.
My personal opinion would be to make sure we've got $11,000 before we spend it. Now, we can go in and approve it and then see if we don't have it, then rescind it. But
Y'all are gonna approve it and spend it, that's a waste of time, and you already know that. I mean, if you approve it now, you're gonna spend the money no matter if we have it.
not if we don't know which budget it's gonna come out of.
It's gonna come out of next year's budget, it just makes sense, it's gonna come out of 2024.
Right.
He's not gonna spend the money now, and he's not gonna bill it back until January,
That's
he'll probably start buying stuff
Is that
in
for the
October.
That's for Santa Magic.
This
Street
is set
sounds
for
would-
street
would-
sounds
street sounds
would
would
be
Get that project underway immediately.
Well,
immediately.
then y'all would have to probably issue a purchase order, that's gonna come out of this budget, but the
Right.
other one isn't gonna come out until 2024.
So, do we have funds in the general fund, I guess, to come out with $12,000 this year?
Are you asking her if we have funds, or just basically telling her
He's
it's
asking.
gonna get
Have funds.
approved,
He's
and
asking if there's funds.
they're gonna spend it? This is,
Gotta spend it, I mean, can't spend it if it's not there. That's why I asked if there's 12,000 in the general fund to fund it.
Do you need to roll this, do we need to roll
Can we roll
this?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll just find out if there's 12,000 in the budget to pull out of and do it next meeting. But as far as Santa Magic, I think it's a no-brainer because we
Yeah.
don't incur any cost until we have some kind of decorations bought or something. And on top of that, where it was written in the contract that he get paid something an hour and per mileage fuel, that's last case scenario if everybody in the city's called out sick and they can't go pick up some decorations that we bought. Because the only thing he would be working for as far as Santa Magic to incur fuel costs would be to go pick up decorations we bought.
but you, what
We
do
have
you- what do you
anybody in
mean
the
it's
city that could go
like-
pick that up.
Like anybody, like who?
Me, you, Reed,
No, not
Ed.
me, but that's what I'm saying, but how, you gonna volunteer Reed or Ed or somebody to go and do it?
Mhm. And who knows, it may be shipped to us depending, I mean, if we go get a 30-foot Christmas tree, we won't have to go get it, but
Talk about that, Reed.
if we buy, lights and stuff that can be shipped to us, that's no worry off of our back, so,
Reed might tell you no.
yeah,
He won't.
yeah.
He
I
won't.
have a question. I have a question. The contract that we finally came up with has been sent to Ron. He's seen
Yes.
the last one we did.
Yes, sir.
Which limits the amount of any of those expenses, you know, for gas and
All that's in there.
hourly and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll move item number 5 to next meeting about the street sounds while Alex finds out what's remaining in this year's general fund budget to fund that 12,000, say. And then we'll vote on number 4, which is authorizing the mayor to sign for entering Santa Magic service agreement.
You have to go to Mississippi or somewhere, make sure you tell us first.
And everything has to be pre-approved.
Everything has to be pre-approved.
And then that's it. Anybody else got anything to add on to the work session? Yes, sir.
I think I said 189, not 1.89. I think I said 189.
Yeah. That sounds more like it.
I'm sorry.
1.89.
It's 1.89 is annual debt service that we have to pay, and that has to stay.
That
in
makes
the
more
account.
sense.
Right, we got you, Doc.
I think I said, did I say 189,000?
You
Yeah.
good.
It's okay.
That's not right.
You did.
It's sitting here in my head.
You did.
Like that math doesn't add up.
1.89 million.
Yeah, that has to stay in the account.
Alright, so that means that we can't approve the 2.5
Can't
because
approve
that
the
doesn't
2.5.
leave that balance.
Yes, there's 4.785 million or something like that in the account. I can pull that quickly.
Hold on, sorry. Okay. You're right.
You saying can or can't?
Can.
Oh.
There's
We're good.
$4,735,462.31 in that account.
To the T.
You take out you take out the 2.5 plus then the 1.89 has to stay in there, so there's funds.
Okay.
And then if you need more, just come to us and we'll make up the difference. That's usually how it works.
All right. Anybody else got anything? Department heads?
I'm good.
Jane Cash and
I'm
anybody? All right. We will be adjourned now and start the meeting shortly downstairs.